What's up? Welcome back to the game plan. Me and my esteemed co-host Larry Mazza. We're doing a bit of an early bird edition for a couple of reasons, and Larry will tell you what it is right now. Actually,
Yeah, actually, I got my traditions shirt on. I don't know if you could see it. It
I
says
can. That's a cool shirt.
traditions with a Z. I don't know how many people are familiar with Don the Dragon Wilson, great champion in the kickboxing world. Went on to be a movie star. Does a lot of stuff in California and Europe. So anyway, he has a line of clothing called Traditions, and I got a bunch of his shirts. So when we do each other's, grand openings or seminars. The one tonight is actually it ties in with the life and my old life, and they knew I was a martial artist at one time. I still am, but I don't.
Right. Now for fighting, but
the point is, they have a group of kids that come in. Maybe some are getting out of prison, some are in juvenile and things like that, and they would like me to be a guest speaker tonight because I have the background in martial arts plus in crime.
that's cool, man. That's super cool that you're doing it. I love that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The problem is, I thought it was 7. If I didn't just check for the address and reread the note, they want me to get there at 6 to help set up the arrangement we're going to talk about and things like that. Like a test run, whatever, and and to meet the owners. So I got to leave a little earlier than I thought. So we're going to bang out some good stuff tonight.
Yeah,
and
good. That's good.
I want to start with this. The NBA, you have the finals going on. All right. And the Celtics are favored over the Heat. They lost the first game in Miami. So I just love to watch the public reaction.
Yeah, right.
I had so many people thinking Boston was the better team. They're going to win. I think they are. I still think they're going to win. So my point is, there's something called an adjusted series line. If you like the Celtics before the start, okay, they lost game 1. There's no reason to panic. They lost in Miami. Miami was expected to win that game because they're at home. What a slight thing. They weren't expected to win it until 2 guys were scratched from the Celtics. 2 of their stars didn't play. So I'm putting a bet tonight on Boston to win the series. They're down 1 game. Okay?
Right.
I thought I would have got a better number. If I played them before the series, I would have had to lay about 140 to win 100. Now, for the same $100 bet, I will win 110. It's a $50 swing my way. So here, you got to hear this out now. I'm going to put, depending on, let's say you're $100 better. This is a little money management too. I would bet $50 tonight. If you're a $500 better, bet $250. Bet a little less than normal bet. Because if they win tonight, I just leave it. You got a bargain. You're 1-1. Okay?
Right.
And instead of laying the 150 the night before, you're getting plus 110. So you're getting a lot more of that. Unless you thought Boston was going to sweep Miami, then you got to back away. If you thought they were going to sweep them, you're wrong. Take a walk, you're done.
Yeah, you already lost.
I don't think I said from the start this is going 6 or 7. To me, this series is going to be hard fought. There's no way. I don't see it ending in less than 5 games. It's going to be 6 or 7 games. So
that's called what? An adjusted what? What did you call it?
Series price.
Okay.
An adjusted series price.
Right.
And
I get it.
It's out there. Go on FanDuel. You could go to any legitimate sports book. They'll have that lineup. It fluctuates with the game scenario.
Right.
So now, if Boston wins, I'm just sitting because now it goes back to where they're going to be a big favorite because they're going home.
Right.
If they lose, I'm going to put another $50 on them because now I'll be getting like plus 2 to 1.
Right.
And they're going home. And I could almost you could be sure, even if they're down 2 games to none.
At home, they're coming.
It'll be 2 up.
Yeah.
And you'll be back to, so people lay the numbers. Here you have a chance to lay good numbers. Forget they're down 1 game to none. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Do you think that because they weren't going to sweep them anyway? So if they win tonight, it's 1-1. You lose the value moving forward. You got your value. Take your ride for the series. If they lose, they're worth another 50 because now you're going to get 2 to 1.
Yeah.
You could almost
smart money.
if you want to wait, that's another option. Wait and hope they lose. But I don't want to do that because I want to be on them if they win tonight. It's still
Right.
value. So I'm putting my $50 on them. And if they lose, I'm putting another 50. And then I'm sitting down. I won't bet anymore. Because now I'm going to need them to make it 2 games to 2.
Right.
If they make 2 games to 2, I got Boston plus 2-1.
Right.
And
That's
they were favored to
that's a
start.
smart move, man. That's a very smart move.
This is, well, I think of every scenario. And
Right.
this is what I do all morning with my coffee. I look at different numbers. So that to me is a really good play.
Value. Right.
The other game, which is tomorrow, the Mavericks and the Warriors, the adjusted series price now, Golden State is over 4-1. So it's like 425 to win 100. They blew the Mavericks out. Now, my concern here is the Mavericks beat Phoenix. Okay, they weren't supposed to win that. Deep into the series, people started seeing it was possible. But at the beginning, Phoenix was the best team in the West. I even said that. They were the number 1 seed. So they blew Phoenix out at home in their own part, on the road. Dallas went on the road and blew Phoenix away.
How did they do that?
Well, it's pro sports. But now my point is, now they go all the way to Golden State, and they get blown away. They lost by 40. So I'm just really lost there. I thought the Mavericks were going to show up. I thought they were destiny. So I don't know. I
stay away from that.
Them. I can't. Yeah, I can't press. If I go bet another 100 on them and they go down 2 games to none, but then again they do go home. But the matchup isn't there, and they weren't favored to begin this series. That's the difference.
That's not smart money.
No, the Celtics were favored, so they're good now as a small dog because it's 1 game, big deal. Don't panic.
Right.
Now's the time to take advantage of the good numbers. That other one, I don't see any good numbers, so I'll lay off of that. I did take that to go 6 or 7, and I'm a little worried about that now. So we'll see. Baseball, I was starting to look. There's a trend when the Cubs play an afternoon game after a night game, which they're playing tonight. They're playing Arizona tonight, and there's sharp money on the Cubs tonight. So you still got time for that if you want to take the Cubs. That's a sharp play tonight, and also Seattle against Boston. Personally, to me, that's a toss-up. It's not that great of a bargain. They're only even money, Seattle. But the other side of the argument is, why are they only even money in Boston? And we bet a few times and won on that. Remember, I said Boston's usually a favorite at home. Again, it's probably the pitching matchup. This guy Kirby in Seattle, maybe he's better than I think, but there is wise guy money on Seattle and wise guy money on the Cubs. I could see the Cubs. Again, they're at home. They're tough at Wrigley. They got a good pitcher going, Marcus Stroman. He come from the Mets. He started with Toronto. He gives you solid 6 or 7 innings every time, and I like him as a pitcher. And the wise guys are on him, so that's a good one. But the reason I'm saying tomorrow's game, there's a trend when Chicago, because a lot of teams don't play day games anymore. Chicago, for all those years, didn't have lights, so they played only day games. So they still play a lot of day games. Friday, it's usually at nighttime. You want to play at night because the fans could come. Nobody's at work. Yet they play these afternoon games, and there's something about them. So I'm going to come right back with the Cubs tomorrow afternoon over Arizona. They got their ace going, Hendricks too.
Do they do well at night?
The Cubs?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't see anything there. There was nothing there, but the day after, when they're home, the day after a night game playing a day game, they have an edge for some reason. They win a good percentage of their games. So
it's something.
Then you got St. Louis. They're playing a tough series right now against the Mets. And let me see what the score is in this game. It's important for tomorrow. They just blew it. They just blew the game in the bottom of the 11th. 1, 2, 3.
Oh
4,
my goodness.
7, 8, 9. The bottom of the 10th. They went to extra innings. Now they're depressed. They got to get on a plane and fly to Pittsburgh, or maybe take a bus. They may not even get on a plane from New York to Pittsburgh. They may not. They may take a bus. Okay. It's going to be a shitty ride. I was looking for that. I was hoping they won that game. Then because they got Wainwright going, their ace. But I think that's a good upset possibility. Pittsburgh's not a good team, but after the way they blew two of their last games to the Mets, it's going to be a miserable trip to Pittsburgh. And it's lackluster. Playing at Shea Stadium in New York, the Mets are a contender this year. They're in first place. I don't think they just lost their first series. They won every series. They're the only team to do that until Seattle. I don't think they won that series. So that to me could be a live underdog. And this, there'll be a lot of sucker money on St. Louis because they won't look at it that way. They'll say, "Oh, St. Louis is a better team." Yeah, they are, but they need a game to recover, I think. So, and I'm going to watch. I'll bet you all the wise guys are on Pittsburgh tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, what was the other one I saw? That was too high for me. Okay, now the other side of that, the Mets will be celebrating a little bit tonight, right? They got to get on a plane and go all the way to Colorado. 3-hour difference. The first game, and Colorado's scoring a lot of runs. They've been hot. The Mets pitcher Carrasco, he's been getting hit. Okay, started out pretty good. His last two games, he's been in and out of trouble the first 3-4 innings. And if the Mets weren't scoring, he would have been yanked.
Yeah.
I think he came out of the last game in like the fourth inning. It was like 5-up against Seattle. So he didn't keep them in the game, really. But anyway, and they're going against a decent pitcher for Colorado, Marquez. The over-under is 10, which shows me it's going to be a shootout. Colorado's a good underdog there. I know the Mets are tough. They're good, though. Same thing. They can rebound. But that first
the over-under, that's a lot of points.
Yeah, getting on the plane tonight and flying all the way to the West Coast, that worries me a little bit. Well, not totally the West Coast, but Colorado's three different. I think it's 3 different times. Pretty sure.
Couple time zones for sure.
Yeah. So that's a.
Are you playing that game?
I'm going to play that game. Yeah, especially after I saw this final here. Well, that makes me love Pittsburgh, and the Mets. They'll be celebrating tonight. That's a big win. They may have a few beers in the dugout, and then they got to get on the plane. And they're human beings, so
that makes a difference. It makes a difference. It gives the other team an edge. It always does.
Well, that's the stuff you got to look at if you're going to be a professional. If you want to just be a recreational player, you go look in the newspaper, bet your favorite team every day, and you're what the bookie loves. If that's what you do,
exactly.
What I'm talking about right now, because already I'm taking his underdogs where he's looking to make money.
Right, and you're going to make the money.
Well, hopefully, nothing's 100%, but
no, but you win using your handicap method and reasoning.
Yeah.
You win more than you lose, and that's consistent and proven. So that's what people need to think. Like you said, the bookie likes to mark where you just pick your favorite team or reading the paper. Then you get the guy like you who's actually handicapping. It's a science, picking things based on trends, based on the consistency, based on numbers. It's a science, and then if you get it good at it, which you are, you've been doing it your whole life.
Right, and it's value. You want the value.
Right. That's the other thing you were just talking about was value. Like the value with the game with the first basketball game we talked about was the Mavericks.
Yeah.
That's very important. Celtics. The first one game we talked about. So the guy like average person won't see it like that, but really they're down a game and you're hedging your money on them to come back. Even if they lose another game, you're still on them because the value goes there.
Yeah, I didn't play them the first game because there wasn't value to me.
No value.
They're the favorite. They're in Miami. So if I'm going to take the Celtics for the series, as just without going into everything I went into, you really want to win that first game.
Right.
Okay, especially if I'm laying 150. But now I'm getting money back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Bigger money.
Changed so much, I could ignore the first game. And there was, and the thing is, if I would have taken a big play on Boston for the series, I would have taken Miami first game. For the same reason I'm saying now. The first game, I'm not that concerned. It's in Miami. They're the home team, especially with the injuries. They're supposed to win that game.
Right.
So I would have taken a couple of bucks back.
To definitely do your homework.
So say I had $1,000 on the Celtics. I would have put 250 or 300 on Miami game one just to get some of it back. And if I
Right.
lose, I'm up 1 game to none. Then I sit back. Now I got all the value my way because I've got all those
Right.
home games ahead of me. So again, it goes back to value. So let me get back
Exactly.
to baseball ball because there's a bunch of games tomorrow, and I know the people you write them down or coming back.
Yeah, they'll come back through. I get it all
Baltimore
the time.
Baltimore just beat the Yankees in the bottom of the 10th also, and they stay home. Tampa leaves. Tampa leaves. They were playing at home in Tampa. They're on the road, but they did have an off day, so there's not much travel. They go into Baltimore. I love the F the Yanks theory because I remember I said you face a lineup like the Yankees have. Tampa's lineup looks easy. It almost looks like a relief to play a team that you can get a few
Right.
outs. But the same thing, they come off this big win. I'm going to pass on that one now. I had a little bit of a gut feeling the other way until they won today.
Stick with your gut.
Yeah, the Yankees and White Sox. Last week, I had said that the White Sox had that. They destroyed me many years ago.
Yeah.
Well, they turned around here and they had a 4-game series, and I think they won 2 each. So I didn't have it really right. I didn't have it wrong. I mean, I just thought they would have done a little better. I'm weary of this one right here. This is where I think the White Sox may do it. I think they're going to be a live dog.
Here he goes again.
Well, because the mistake was last time they were in Chicago. Okay, so the time I blew all that money, they were at Yankee Stadium.
Right.
And I did it, like I said, 2 years in a row, and then I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
So here they are again. So many years later, I probably should let that go, but I'm going to give it one more chance. I'm gonna watch the White Sox here and see if they could give Yankees fits at Yankee Stadium. Yankees
You never learned
lately. So no, coming off. No, I did learn. That's why I'm going with them. They're a big
I'm just
underdog.
joking.
They're plus 170. Tomorrow they're plus 170. So you put 100 down, you get 270 back.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. You know, Yankees are coming off this horrible loss to the Orioles. They come home, but and everybody's going to jump on the Yankees. They're betting the Yankees like they always do. So I'm going to just be wary of that. Watch those White Sox be a thorn in the Yankees side this weekend. It's going to be a 3-game series. I'm saying the White Sox win 2 out of 3. And with the numbers you're getting, you'll make a lot of money if they win 2 out of 3. And your risk isn't that big because you're not laying, like if you wanted to bet the Yankees, you're laying 2-1. So you got to put up 200 to get 3 back.
Yeah.
The other way, you're putting 1 down to get 175, 275 back.
That's the value right there.
So, yes, absolutely.
And that's one of the hardest things about doing this too. People they don't think about the value based on the spread and the odds. If they did that more often, I think they'd be a lot more successful. And that's why you're so important to do this. Like whether you're on Patreon or here, giving that information, it directs you towards that value. It takes their game to another level. No pun intended.
Well, but it's punny anyway.
It's funny.
When I used to do this more on a professional level, not that this, you know what I mean, where I got paid for it. I used to tell the people, let me do the homework for you.
Right.
You don't have to believe everything I'm saying. You don't have to sell your house and bet what I never expect anybody to do anything silly like that. But take the insight, the things I'm telling you, the stats I'm offering, and let that may help you make a decision. You may say, you know what, I'm not gonna lay all this money on the Yankees. And one game has to work out right in this series, and the whole thing changes. Here's a really good one for tomorrow night. Now, this one you're going to lay some money, but the reason I like it, Cincinnati just comes off a series with Cleveland. That's an interstate rivalry. So there's always a little extra juice. You want to beat your neighbors, like when the Mets play the Yankees or the California Angels play the Dodgers. Certain teams, Oakland plays San Fran. Yeah. There's that's a rivalry. So everybody's a little hard. So since he's got to get in a plane and leave Cleveland, normally you'd be happy to leave Cleveland, but they got to leave Cleveland and they got to go.
Oh man, that's funny.
So they got to go through customs. They got to go through all that.
Oh god, that sucks.
Play in Toronto. All right, they are not looking forward to this trip. and they're facing the Toronto Blue Jays ace, Ryu. Okay. But you're going to be laying 185. But to me, that's going to be a one-sided game, Toronto. I just think they're going to score, and they're facing Castillo. He hasn't been good. He's never been good.
That's a bet then. That's a good bet.
Average, but you're laying some money, and there's not a ton of value in it. But to me, it's going to be, it looks like an easy one. It's one that I'm going to guess the guys I work with raise their line a little bit. The guys I talk to in Costa Rica and stuff like that. All these games I'll talk to them about further. But that game right there, I think, it's going to go up. And probably even sucker money is going to move it. But sometimes the suckers win. Sometimes it's just what we call it the game. Nobody doesn't know anything.
It happens.
Yeah. So I think those are your plays there. Last week, we gave out a bunch of horses. Now, they all did well. One of them won, but was a very heavy favorite, so I'm not taking any.
I didn't.
I'm taking more credit for the 2 seconds because we hit the exactas we talked about. And then one of them, the one I said the 2 horses would run away, they did, except the 3rd horse ran away with them and beat them. What? So if you remember, I had this one game where I said the 1 horse and the 7 horse, Hercules and somebody else.
I remember you said that.
Would be fighting it out. And they were halfway through the stretch. It was the 2 of them. And then all of a sudden, this horse, Katie something, came. But you know what? When I looked over the program again, that horse, it wasn't that much of a long shot. It was only 9-2. So somebody thought she could do all right. Anyway, that one we lost. And that's one I really touted. So we ran 2nd and 3rd. But they were favored. So I can't, that was a bad loss. But, again, the other ones, you would have caught some exactas. Let me find my right here. Let me go back for Saturday. I'm going to go real quick if they're up yet.
John Doe says he said the Mets are due for a slump. Don't say so.
Well, people have lost a fortune saying somebody's due, or it's like if heads comes up 5 times in a row, tails is due. It's still 50-50.
Right,
on the next flip, so
Glenn says hi, by the way.
Oh, all right.
Taylor says hi.
All right. Give him all our regards.
The Harvester of Sorrow. This is one guy's got his name, Harvester of Sorrow. That's his name. That's kind of a sad handle. Harvester of Sorrow.
Yep, it is.
We could have been a little more positive, bro.
Really?
Tracy, how you doing?
I'm looking at this week's, and the one that won for us, Betters Don't Tell. That was a good one. That was Jim Ryan. You remember that one?
I remember. Well, this guy just said, Larry, race 11. You forgot to mention Horse of the Year was running.
Oh, maybe.
What do you mean by Horse of the Year?
Well, he might have been last year's Horse of the Year. He's probably right.
Okay.
It's something I might have overlooked. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad that they're watching and they're keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm glad that they're paying attention.
I didn't have enough time to get into the horses, but the reason I'm looking at it, I made notes from last week. Atlanta's running. He's a champ. But
do you talk to the pros, the bookies, or contact with them regarding horses, like regarding horses, or do they stick to, sports?
No, the sports and the horse guys are 2 separate outfits.
Okay, that's what I think.
So here's one you could take a shot in the 4th race at the Meadowlands. It's when we had De Los Cielos Dale. He ran 2nd, caught the exacta, and he was coming after the winner, who was a hot horse. He just kept inching up, but every time he got close, the other horse nudged ahead. He was a tough one to beat, but we caught the exacta. From post 8, he's probably going to be a good price, and he can get to the lead quick and then sit. I think you come right back with him. He's the 8 horse in the 4th race on Saturday night. I'm going from my last week's one that I know I'm coming back with, but I didn't have enough time to go through them
and check out who's riding and what else they're doing.
No, I see. I'm looking at that. I know I'm coming back with that one. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
Especially from post 8, he's going to pay a good price if he can do it.
So you're basing it all on matchups? Are you just looking at the matchups and saying,
no,
are
I look
picking
at
the
the
horses
program.
based on matchups?
I studied a program, but I didn't get a chance to do that yet. So now I'm doing it based on my memory of last week. Like this Bella Bellini ran second. That's the one we thought with Herculesa. And I'm shocked to see. Well, looking at the race she's in, all right, she's 9-2 this week. But in real tough, you got Loved by the Masses, who's a fantastic horse. When Doves Cry, I tell you what, I got to get the program for this. When Doves Cry was the best trotter last year, and she's 8-1. There's got to be something I don't know, or just the first race back.
Something's going on.
I'm gonna look into. I'm gonna check that. I wish we could get back online again, but that's a hell of a race. I'm gonna look forward to watching that one. I'm gonna bring my computer. I'm going to a show. Oh, here's the other one we ran second. Remember Da Delightful?
Yeah.
Ran second. This week it's 8-1. So it's probably moving up a little bit. So I wouldn't say to come back with her at 8-1. I think my driver's waiting for me.
The lovely Kelly Mazza.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay, here's one that got heated up last week. Dunn, great driver, switched off another horse to ride it, and we had it. It ran.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Jack's Legend. All right, I'm coming back with that one for sure in the 10th. The number 5, Jack's Legend. It's a second race over the track. He doesn't look like he's in as tough. They got the outside horse as the favorite. So that's number 5 in the 10th race. I would take a look at him. We got 2 more races to look at. This race, I don't remember anybody. The 12th. I missed the boat on that one. And here's one that I had played last week pretty big. And I got a second. I seen a steady improvement. They got a list as second choice, Queen of Success, which is the 12th race, number 6. He's definitely worth a bet. 12th race, number 6. Yeah.
Based on who he's facing?
12th race, number 6.
Like, so, are you basing that on the competition?
Well, I see for him to be listed at 3-1, he didn't bounce up in class. I've been watching him. He ran 10th, 3rd, 2nd, and I had him 3rd and 2nd. I'm not going to miss him now when he wins. He's not going to be a big price, but there's other horses in here that get money, like the one horse, Lori Lee. You ready, driver? My driver's.
You let it, driver.
I gotta
go. God bless.
Thank you.
Hi, Cal.
There's the driver.
How you doing? She's more than a driver. She's your everything. Let's go ahead and say it. She's your
my better half. All right.
God bless. Be safe, you guys. Enjoy what you're doing. That's a good thing you're doing, man. Very cool.
Thank you. All right.
Give me a call.
We'll talk tomorrow. Thanks. All right. Have a good night.
Bye. Tomorrow at 5.
Yes, sir.
Anyways, I wanted you guys. I got a meeting with him tomorrow at 5 o'clock about a Patreon. How we're going to figure out his Patreon, whether it be his own or on mine as a tier on my Patreon. It's just because he wants to do daily updates, like daily, maybe a 10-minute video a day, giving you up to minute, not up to the minute, but up to the hour handicapping for the games, all the games that he's handicapping. So, God, my eyes suck. Kenneth Ledford, what's up, man? Where you been? There's Joshua the intern. You better come see me soon, Joshua the intern. But anyway, so he's going to probably do that. If he does it on my Patreon, it's cool. I won't be making any money from it. So the way he would do it is have a $25 tier. It's at my Patreon right now, $25 tier. And people join it and you get everything. You get sample chapters of his book. You get sample chapters of another book. Oh, yes, my wife found them. Let me see that.
Did you feed the chickens?
Yes. Okay. This stuff here is crack. Like, this Fairlife butter pecan milk. Butter pecan. It's Fairlife milk makes it. Butter pecan ice cream. Literally the best ice cream I've ever eaten. And I joked with her because she had to go to a dentist appointment. And I said, "You're gonna go in the town you're gonna go to Myers?" She's like, "No, why?" I'm like, "Some ice cream." She walks in with some ice cream. That was cool. That's my wife, good wife. That's why I love her so much. But that's one of the reasons I love you. So anyway, so I'll tell you guys about the Patreon with Larry. It's cool because it's gonna give you, like I said, sample chapters of his book. Plus, at my Patreon, you get sample chapters of my book, funny little short videos. There'll be a lot of hunting, fishing, outdoor camping, adventure videos, stuff like that, and kind of unique content. I don't put a ton there, but as the summer goes on and progresses, and I do all these camping trips and fishing trips and stuff like that, that's what you'll get at Patreon. I won't have I have some great guests coming up too. One's a special forces dude. He was in Afghanistan for like, I don't know how many years, but he's a badass dude. I got another guy who's FBI agent who infiltrated the mob, stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. I'm just laughing at you guys talking about Danny Trio, like Larry Mazza against Darren Trio. Dude, in the world you have people that are super duper mob aficionados. And just that's what they do. That's all they do. I'm like the antithesis of that. I never look up nothing, never have. All I could go is based on my memory of the few old men I was around and the people I was around and the things that I did 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago. I don't look stuff up. I don't research stuff. I don't do genealogies. I don't do none of it. I find that stuff to be the most boring shit on the planet. It's just like when I was in prison, guys would do legal work, right? So they would sit there and pour through legal briefs and documents and stuff like that, had stacks of it on their desk, and they'd sit there for hours. And dude, I couldn't get through 5 pages of it, and my head, I want to explode. Even when I was doing my appeals, I appealed my cases all the way up to the Supreme Court, and it got bitten denied. So I ended up paying guys to do it. But the thought of going through all this ancient minutia of genealogies and history and stuff, it's above me, above my head. I would never do it. So, like I said, if anyone looks back into my previous shows and stories, if I'm telling a story, it's simply based on my firsthand knowledge or experience, and it wasn't that in depth. Most of my criminal stuff that I did was small time, and things I did for was small time. But I will say this: 99.9% of the criminal exploits that I did in my life, there's no record of. Thank God. There's no evidence of it. I think back. So if you go back and watch my first 200 shows where I tell all these stories, thank God I wasn't of all this stuff. Most of it's horrible. Most of it's embarrassing. I tell it in a way, the stories in a way that's kind of entertaining. And the main reason is so you can kind of see my progression of life, what led me to prison and what I did, and also why I changed, became a writer, and just changed who I am. That's what those hundreds of stories are about. They're not about glamorizing myself as a thug or a punk or gangster or street whatever. It's just so you can say, hey, this is what he was. This is who he was around. This is what he became, went to prison. This is what he became in prison. As he got out, and that's who he is today. So there's that. Just say, I can't do. That's funny because the guy wrote my book, To Be a King, which is based on a fictional mafia family set in Detroit. I created the entire story using only the experiences that I had firsthand, the things that I saw and were around, which really wasn't that in depth, but I was around it and I saw it, and I was able to retain some of the things that I saw as a kid, and later in my teens saw and did, and later in my 20s saw and did. And that was enough for me to recreate this entire world, this world, this very complex mafia world. And so anybody who's read my books, they know. They're like, dude, and people are saying, dude, this is the best mafia story that's ever been told. This is better than The Godfather, people say. All the reviews say it. And I did no research, zero, none. I had never even read a mob book before. I never seen Scott Bernstein's book, none of that. When I wrote this book, later on I would read The Last Mafioso and Sammy Bull's Cry Me a River book after I wrote my book, 4 years after I wrote my book. By then, I was like, I don't care. None of it would have been pertinent to the story anyways. But that's the funny part about people making accusations about me. If you read my book, ask yourself this: how on earth was he able to recreate that world and that level, that detail, that depth, with no knowledge of it? I'm not saying I had a ton of knowledge, but I saw enough. I had enough experience, been around enough old wise guys and my grandpa's Gumbatis and people he was around. I don't even get into that. It's like, I can't believe someone would even try to question that. I can think back to my childhood. The old men coming and going, in and out, all day, every day. In the market, down in the Eastern Market. My mother was sick. My grandparents were babysitting. Guys coming and going. The 4 phones in the office working. All these guys who I'd later get to know later when in my teens and 20s, I get to learn that these were connected guys. Wise guys, like, they might give me a $5 bill or something when I was a kid. Say, hey, come here, Alonzo, shove $5 in my pocket and pinch my cheekers. But I didn't know what the frick they were, just old uncles. But they were all introduced as uncles. They'd come in and my mom would say, this is your Uncle Joe, or this is your Uncle Pete, this is Uncle Tony. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Old men, you know what I'm saying? It's like you when you're that age. I look at an old man and go, all right, well, good, who cares? I mean, got something to play with. And I got to be my teens. All I really cared about there was trying to get laid and hustling money. They didn't mean nothing to me. The old mob guys meant nothing. Zero. Literally zero. I didn't hero worship or revere them, nothing. I respected them as my grandpa's Gumbatis. That's what he called them, Gumbatis. And they called out, hey, Gumbati Tony, Gumbati this guy, Gumbati. Or they come over and they shake his hand, kiss him on the cheek. They love them. So I respect them like I would respect any old man. But when my Uncle Pete said, that guy's a capo, or that guy's a freaking this, and that guy, I'm like, so what? The frick do I care? I mean, I'm trying to get laid by these girls. I'm trying to make a buck, and they help me make a buck. If they can't, I don't care. Uncle Pete, what can you do for me to make a buck? But eventually, some of them did say, hey, you want to make a buck? And they said, you want to work security? Or I'll give you a job bouncing, or I'll give you this, that. And I did it. But that's it. That's the story of my life, literally. It's not that exciting or that interesting or that really. I guess when I tell the stories, they're fairly entertaining based on how I talk about them, how I deliver them. Whose daughter's hot, Stefano? Oh, what are we talking about? What's I'm trying to see. Oh my goodness, Tracy! Happy birthday, by the way. I thought I emailed her that, but I know it's your birthday and you were just on here, and I know it's late there where you're at too. So God bless you, happy birthday. She's a big supporter, very kind girl. I am sending her something, a surprise to the UK guys, just so you know. I'm sending her a gift to the UK, and it's going to cost me like $30 in shipping, and I just got to finish packing it. I had already sent her one thing, and she never got it, and I felt bad about it. I'm like, you never got it? Then I don't know where the freaking tracking number is. It was like 2 months ago. She's like, I didn't get it. I'm like, get the frick out of here. This is why I hate international parcels. They just sometimes vanish. It's there somewhere. I sent one guy 2 sets of my signed books, a hat, and something else. T-shirt, I think. 2 sets of, gave me $400. $400 for 2 sets of my signed books going to South Africa. Wanted it. This is going to South. So I do it all. I package it up, sign it. Very thankful. I send him the package. He never gets it. After like a month, he's like, I never got it. I can't find the tracking number anywhere. I have no idea where it is. And I tell him that. I feel bad because I'm like, he might think that I tried to scam him. I might have tried to get down on him or whatever because he paid for it. So 2 months go by. He still hasn't found nothing. Then I'm cleaning my wife's car and I found the tracking number. So I text him and go, look what I found. Here's a tracking number. Would you believe after like 3 months, he got on there, the tracking number, and he found that parcel and he got it. So he got 2 sets of my signed books, I think a couple T-shirts and a hat, whatever. But international parcels are a pain in the ass. Sometimes they just vanish. I've had that happen before. Something I sent to the UK vanished and something I sent to Australia vanished. And what do you do? How do you, like, here's the tracking number that says it's in delivery or it was delivered. That's their go-tos. Shows it was delivered. I'm like, but it wasn't. Well, it shows it is. Sorry. You like to file an insurance claim and you got to go through all this paperwork for $30 parcels. It's just such a scam. Anyways, happy birthday, Tracy. God bless you. He says, Alter says, I'm the only guy in the mob who isn't a beast. I've been getting a little leaner. I can't really see it. Leaning up. I not a lot, but by down 5 or 10 pounds. I've been using lighter weight and doing more sets and more volume, simply because I'm getting to the age where I don't need to be like massive bulky. It's better that I do a higher volume, higher rep training and condition my body, my heart, and then have a big, massive, freaking be huge, to be 230 pounds at 5'10". So I'd rather just kind of do higher volume, cut myself up, more conditioning. Plus, in the last couple of weeks, I've been doing a lot more fishing. And it don't sound like that's much until you see what we do fishing, where I'm out there trekking miles to the woods, crashing through brush and brambles, down rocky rivers. It's absolutely grueling. Anybody you can ask Johnny Mack, he did it with me a couple days. Grueling, where he'll tell you straight up, that was brutal. And I'm like, I know, we're old. He's younger than me. But if you get conditioned to it. So once you get doing it, do it every few days or once a week or whatever. By the middle of the summer, it's not so bad. You don't wake up stiff and sore and beat up. But those first 4, 5, 7 days that you do it, and you wake up in the morning, it's like, oh, jeez, everything hurts. Oh, it's so crazy. William Wednesdays with William Crooks. What are you talking about, Dan? Yeah, I love Bill Crooks, by the way. Great dude. I was just thinking about him. There's his son right here, Joshua, the intern. Pittsburgh blowing 3-1 lead. It's embarrassing, dude. That kid, Josh, the intern, is a smart kid. He's the kid I wish I was when I was his age. If I was him, if I could go back in time and be him, I'd be running the country right now, because he's got a great family and he's smart. He knows he's smart. He's witty. He's charming. He's good looking. He's got all the attributes that you need to be successful in his life. If he just applies it, and I think he will. I believe he will. Don't get me wrong. I've seen a lot of kids like him. Not a lot, but I've seen my share of kids like him with the same potential. Blow it. They get to freaking 17, 18 years old. They start smoking vape pens and weed, and they just don't take training serious anymore. They don't take their academics training anymore. They start to settle in for mediocrity when they could be something great. He could be something great. And had I thought like that, I had the potential to be something great too. I'm sure I could have played pro baseball or pro football, athletic. Maybe. I can't say 100% sure. You never know. I'm also sure I probably could have become a Navy SEAL, but realistically, my goal and dream would have been at his age is to be a fighter pilot. So I would have, and he's got his pilot's license, by the way, this freaking kid. But I would have joined the Air Force, went to flight school, and became a fighter pilot. And that's a very serious job that you must take serious, very serious. It's one of the most serious jobs. It's like a surgeon, but you're in the air. Now, and I would have loved to do that for like 10 years. And then after that, sky's kind of the limit. I would have loved to have been in the CIA. So after flight school and I, become a fighter pilot for 10, 12 years, I would stay in the Air Force for as long as they allow me. So but most of the time physically you start to fade in your mid 30s. And then they kind of say, hey, you're done, man. You might be able to be an instructor or something, but you're done flying professionally as a fighter pilot. So you have to say you're 33, 34 years old. Bang. You've been going to school all these years. You're super smart. You go to school for criminology or whatever, or psychological profiling, or whatever it is. Go join the CIA, because you got friends in the military that can help vouch for you. Man, are you kidding me? Join the CIA, become like an undercover, black ops secret agent. What could be cooler than that? They pay for your life. That's it. You don't have to pay for nothing. They put you up in a house or a condo or whatever, and you take on this persona. They build you this background legend, and you got to infiltrate this or be here and do that and be around that guy and talk to. Man, could you imagine a better job than that? A cooler job, being a secret agent and having the backing of the CIA, where it's unlimited resources, unlimited. You can do whatever you want. Listen, you call your handler. Listen, I need a Mercedes delivered to this thing right now. White Mercedes. Why? Because I'm on a mission. and I need a cover. And I told a girl that I'm driving a white Mercedes. She's going to be my cover. We're going to go meet this other guy, blah, blah, blah. Boom, rented. There it is. Shows up, white Mercedes. I mean, just whatever the frick you want. I can't even imagine what they do. You know what I mean? Really? I mean, I can imagine because I'm a writer. And one of my books, by the way, called Eagle's Talon, is based on a secret agent. Guy's name is Max DeCupla. He's a Navy SEAL. He gets recruited by the president, who's dirty, by the way. President's a dirty dude. His father is a corrupt power monger billionaire, right? Who runs something called Gillnet. It's a very secretive organization of double agents, triple agents, black ops, intelligence. It's called Gillnet, Global Intelligence Network. And it's very scary. Everybody won't even say the word Gillnet. All these freaking black ops all around the world. It's basically intelligence for sale. If you have enough money and the right connections, you can overthrow a third world warlord. You can, frame a president for something, but whatever you want. And the president of the United States' father, Arthur Burgess, is the one who controls this. And anyways, they recruit him under the guise of humanitarian needs for the president. They basically tell the president tells him, this Navy SEAL, we need you to do things that we can't legally do. We need you to perform things that are outside of the legalities of the government, but it's for the good of humanity, of the world, stability, the economics, it's world peace, whatever. And he's like, yeah, he knows he's talking about killing people. He's this badass Navy SEAL. First, he doesn't want to do it, but the president takes him for a walk out in the woods in the Adirondacks by this cabin. And he tells them, I need you to do this for the better of it. So anyways, he says, okay, I'll do it. He's like, well, here's how it's going to work. Me and you are going to pick code names. And that way, if you hear the code name, it's only me issuing the order. He's like, what? So they're in his office right now, president's office. And he says, what would be my code name for you? And he looks, there's a mounted eagle on the desk, big eagle. And he says, how about eagle? Makes sense. You're the president. He says, okay, good. What about you? He's like, Talon. That's going to be my code name. So if he gets a call and says, here's your marching orders, code name Eagle, this is real. This is not some other entity trying to trick you to do something. It's me. And he says, if I contact you with Talon, I have an emergency call for Talon, here's the number, boom. He knows it's him. So he decides to do it, and they train him in these black ops scenarios. They take him to this place called the camp, and he stays there for 10 weeks, and they teach him field craft where he becomes like James Bond or Jason Bourne, more like Jason Bourne. Badass. But what he doesn't know is they did at one point drug him and put a tracking device up under his sternum by his heart, so they always know where he is. In the end, when he turns on them, they keep finding him, and he can't figure out how they're finding him. Doesn't matter where he goes in the world, there are assets chasing him and trying to kill him. And he's like, what? How are they finding me? Then he goes, actually a mob guy helps him out in Sicily. Yeah. They put him in a freaking x-ray, and it shows you got this device. So the mob guy hooks him up with a surgeon, and they go up underneath and cuts it out and smashes it. And then the mob guy tells Arthur Burgess, the bad guy, he's done. We killed him. And they said, okay, thank you. This mob dude has beef with this Arthur Burgess guy for a reason, though. It dates back to his daughter. The mob guy tried to set up his daughter to be killed, decades ago. So now the mob guy flips on this dude, Arthur Burgess, and uses this Max DeCupla secret agent, Talon, to go kill him. It's a crazy story, but it's a good story. It's a good book. People will love it. I think people will love it. That's the job I would have done. That's all I'm saying. Had I been smart and not a screw up, had I not started smoking dope and just chasing girls and being a loser, which I was just a loser. I was such a lazy ass loser. I remember when my grandpa asked Tony Jackalone to get me some work. I literally was like, what? I don't want to work. I don't want to work. You know what I'm saying? I sell weed. I sell steroids. I'm good. I go to the beach. And my grandma said, no, he's going to go to college this fall. She didn't want me working there with them. But I remember when they said, hey, you want a job bouncing? I'm like, oh, that's a good job. Where? At Brownies was freaking It was Mob Central, tons of girls. It was a great place. I was only 20 years old. I wasn't even old enough to be in this place. It literally is right on the border of Grosse Pointe and St. Clair Shores. All big money, high rollers coming in all day. All these mob dudes and high rollers. And I'm the head bouncer at the door. Like, it was a great gig. I only paid I think it paid $50 a night. I'm like, between my bouncing gig, selling weed and steroids, I'm making like $500, $800 a week. I don't want a job. I want to sleep in till freaking 11 o'clock. And when I'm done, I go to the gym and work out and then go hit the beach for 3-4 hours, get some tan, and then come back, go see my boys, smoke a joint, maybe hit on some girls, see some girls, and then do nothing. That was the life. That was the life that I lived. That was my life, the life. Freaking smoke weed, chase girls, hang out with my boys, go to the beach, work out. I liked that life. I liked it. I was a lazy bum. Now all my friends were getting jobs or going to college. You know what I mean? And the ones that went to college went on to become something. Other ones got jobs, went on to have lives. I remember when they first started buying houses and crap, man, I felt ashamed. I'm like, I got homeboys are 21, 22, 23 years old buying new houses. I'm renting a house in Detroit. It's a kind of a dump. I'm like, freaking loser. But whatever. Grinch. Watch it now. Grinch said, I actually think Gene Borello is gay. He talks camp. Not sure what that means. I don't know Gene Borello. I have no idea. John Doe says, JC's mom's got docs. Thousands of people showed up there. JC from West Coast crime or whatever he calls it, JC West Coast. I mean, I think that's such a scummy thing for anyone to do is dox somebody. I think that's just a scummy, low-life thing. But that's indicative of what happens today. People will make up stuff. They will lie. With regards to me, one of the things that everybody did, it was tell you one side of the story, but not the other. They leave out all the other evidence and facts and stuff like that and just tell you this. Or, take things out of context that you said where maybe I admit like some of my genealogy and stuff was wrong. I never knew because I didn't care. I just never cared. I don't look stuff up. I never cared to look stuff up. I'm busy. I have better things to do. But they will lie and leave things out purposely. Even Scott. There was so much stuff he could have said, but he purposely left it out. So that's the world. This is the YouTube world. That's why I'm kind of over it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even going to address it. These guys keep making videos and talking shit. Dude, you got to be a serious loser to spend your time, energy, money, and life going through every comment, through every show. I'm like, oh my goodness, dude, what a loser. I don't care. Keep going. I'm never going to change what my life was or my life. I think it's ridiculous. But you have to be really low down nothing to do that and be so intent on discrediting somebody or bashing somebody or smearing somebody. You have no life. I'm like, look, I don't care. Watch my videos. Watch them all. And then watch the fishing ones and the hunting ones, the camping ones and the riding ones and out having fun. Watch those the most because that's my real life. The rest, care less. It's not going to affect me. My new book. Oh, dude, the haters they're going to hate my new book because it's going to blow up. It's going to go crazy. People are going to be all over the internet talking about it. It's going to be crazy. People are going to be blowing it up. And they're going to they're going to hate. Some will be like, that's not his real life. That's how goofy they are. The ones who talk trash, they literally have never watched my shows. So they really have no idea what I claim and don't claim, which isn't much. But my new book is going to take things to the next level, trust me. And that's what I'll be focused on. I'll be doing a lot of shows, podcasts, and shows that are in the genre of survival, preparedness, readiness, politics, stuff like that. Even Christianity. Big, giant podcast with millions of subscribers. I'm talking about YouTube and downloads on a podcast. I'm just going to tell them the story. The story is so good. They're going to be like, dude, I heard this story is crazy. And that theoretically, the way you tell the story, it could literally happen theoretically. What's it about? I said, well, it starts off with this guy. He's in prison, whatever. And we go from there. People are going to flip. I won't be going to Mob 2. I don't subscribe to any mob channels anyways. None of them. Zero. I used to watch John Panizzi because I liked him the way he delivers it. He's a professional. I'm rooting for John Panizzi. But I don't watch any of them because I don't care. I never was into it. Just wasn't into it. I'm into fishing, hunting, four-wheeling, riding my bike, camping, stuff like that. Just never into my stuff. Never interested me. Even like I said, as a child, with the old men were coming and going with my grandpa. Even my Uncle Pete would say, "This guy's that guy's this. Oh, you know who that guy? You know what this guy?" I'd be like, "Yeah, what? Who? I don't give a flip, man. You can't whip my ass." That's how I saw him. Literally, I'm like, "Yeah, well, you can't whip my ass. I'll beat that old mother effer's ass." And they got guns. I got guns too. So why would I here worship some old goombody of my grandpa? It was goofy. Man, a lot of kids, the people who are so obsessed with the mob thing, and there's people who have an interest in it, and that's cool. The people that are like, I have a fascination with the history or interest with it, that's cool too. But the ones who are super obsessed with it, they're hero worship. That wasn't me. I didn't care. So they, in the past, when they were me, they would have been, "Oh my God, he's this, what?" They would have watched his every move and worshipped him. And "How you doing, sir?" Me, I don't care. I want to make some money. You help me make some money, I'll be happy to. That's it. The Krugerrands are a little boring. What are we talking about? Sammy is just walking in and smashing on their people. Sammy ain't. Alter Test says Sammy ain't just walking in and smashing on their people. What are you talking about? Mexicans are no joke in Arizona, he said. You look like you could use another guest. No, I'm getting ready to go hang with my wife, Josh, intern. Got an hour. But that's the thing. Well, the ROI is not really here. I'm just kind of doing this for you guys. I mean, by the way, who super chatted? Didn't somebody super chat? Who did that? I saw that. Somebody gave me a $5 super chat. There's so many comments. I don't want to not acknowledge that. I want to thank you. And by the way, if you want a signed book, there it is, John Doe. My boy John Doe. He's doing that a couple times. Thank you. Surprised Scott didn't catch a fade when he was on the set of BMF. Scott has faded himself. And I got an email I'm composing to Scott. And I'm inviting him to do a show just like this. I said, take your research, use everything that you know based on my family or that family or whatever, and I'll tell my side of the story based on my real life experience, history, and you either deny or confirm whatever you know based on your research. I'd be happy to do that. We can end this amicably. All the things you forgot to mention, you can mention that. I'll remind you. I went on and on. I mean, there's so many things that connect me to that world and those people. I mean, I'm talking hard connections where, hey, Scott, you forgot this guy? You forgot that guy? This guy? I introduced him to one. All these things, over and over and over. I got 20 things. But the main thing is, he knows that my grandpa was a very revered man in that community. Scott said his favorite book, mafia book, I don't know where it is. It's called Holy Family Church, 100 Years of Sicilian Influence in Detroit, right? He's like, that's the real mafia book. It's better than mine. It's just got the whole mob. And it's all these top guys and their own personal pictures. And then he said, on my show, yeah, your grandfather donated like half the pictures in the book. He said that. It's not half, but there's a lot. And in that book, it has my grandpa listed with all these, I love all my mom guys, as founding fathers and donators and all that. And they're listed right with, and he says he was, over the years, he was highly involved in the various clubs and societies connected to the church, which he was. They all were. My grandfather got a blessing, the only person to ever get a pope to bless the church. Only one. You can look that up. Only one to ever get a papal blessing. My grandpa did. These men, Jack Tocco, Tony Tocco, Joe Tocco, Tony Jack, on and on. They grew up with him. They lived with them and around him for 40, 50 years. So Scott knows that. It's silly for him to say, just because he has no evidence and like research and paperwork that says he was part of the family. I never said he was. I just said these were my grandpa's Goombadis. I never said he was a capo or made guy or nothing like that. Never said it. I just said they loved him. They were at our house. And the truth is, to be perfectly honest, I believe he was involved much more than I ever realized. Because in hindsight, I think about how many times they came over the house, how many times they called the house when they were at the market and they were around him. I'm sure he was doing things. He was a bookie. He's a layoff bookie. Huge layoff bookie. Scott said, maybe his grandpa had a little book. I explained to him several times what a layoff bookie is. I said, you know what that is? He said, yeah. It's when the bookies can't balance your book, so they take the out of balance bets, push it off on a layoff. And then there's a master layoff. My grandpa had 4 phones going, and he's going, you need 20,000 with a spread. Hold on. Picks up the phone. Can you take 20,000? Can you take 20,000? You take 20,000. You can. All right, 20. All right, I got the 20,000 to spread. Boom, marks it down. Boom, boom. Huge bets going. 100,000, 50,000. That's what he did. He enjoyed doing that. He was fun. It was what he enjoyed. But and that's it. I never said he was a capo or a made guy or nothing like that. He was just a guy who enjoyed sports, but these old men were around him all the time. And Scott knows that. He knows that. And like I said, there's all kinds of evidence that points to him being very close in that community with these guys. He had the same last name, and they were called cousins. Call each other cousins. I was introduced to them by my mother usually. This is your uncle or your cousin. I'm like, oh, whatever. You say your last name is Tocco. I'm just like, all right, we're Tocco. Didn't care. Never looked it up. Cared. So Grandpa was around these guys later on in life. When I became a thug and like street hustling gangster for my Uncle Pete Tocco. That's another thing. Scott said he doesn't know my Uncle Pete. That's a good thing. You weren't supposed to know him. He wasn't indicted. He did have a state record. He got busted for selling coke. He's a real person, so I didn't make him up. You can look him up. But if you pawn shop, selling drugs, beatings, stolen merch, on and on and on. Those other guys, the Jack Maloney's kids, they were, higher white collar, but they grew up with them. They grew up with them. They were same age, went to the same schools, from the same neighborhood. They were friends. My uncle leaned towards the bikers. He started hanging around bikers, which I never liked. I'm like, freaking bikers are gross. But that was his boys. And anyways, just because there's no evidence of that means it didn't happen. I'll leave you with this. I did a lot of bad stuff in the world. Horrible stuff. Can't even, I've shared with you on my show, in the first 200, 300 shows, whatever, everything that I could share. It's a lot. It's a lot of bad stuff. And I'm not proud of it. But I just used it as a marketing engine to see, listen, you can change. Look what I did. I wrote these books. But there's stuff that I can't say on YouTube. A lot of it. People that I was around, things that I saw happen, things that were done. A lot of it. Not a ton, but enough. By the way, 99.9.9.9% of all the crime that I did, Scott can't find it. You won't be able to find it. Nobody will be able to find it. It's not in an indictment. It's not in a Fed file. It's not there. It doesn't exist. And the other thing was with Scott is he doesn't know any of the guys from my generation. I know this because I gave him names, and he said, I don't know them. And I said, I'm surprised you don't know them. And his literal words were, well, they must have not been anybody big deal. And I'm like, no, they weren't. They were just like me, young, 20-some-year-old kid, thugs, drug dealers. But they were connected. Their uncles with this, that uncle was that, his dad was this. But I'm saying that was 30 years ago when they were nothing. I'm saying today I hear from some of my cousins that those same guys from 30 years ago came up in the game. I've even heard some of them got their button. So I gave him the name. You don't know. You don't know him. You don't know everybody. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to know every freaking move every mob guy makes in the street. Naturally, that's what he should admit. That's why I don't want him to come on my show and just be honest. Say, you don't know everything. We can get he's got a retired Fed. That's his boy, right? That's where he gets his information. But that retired Fed focused on the top 10 guys his whole career. And, but if I said, bring him on the show too. And I'll look him dead in the eye and say, Be honest. Based on your expert knowledge, give me the percentage of knowledge you have of the family's crime exploits. Be honest. How much do you think you knew about them, all of them, and what they were doing? If he's honest, I bet you he says 1%. We knew 1%. Or like maybe 10 for. They're never going to say more than 25%. They just didn't. They don't know it. And they definitely shouldn't have, they wouldn't know about some low-level thug like me. The only thing I had going for me, the only reputation I had was for smashing guys. Had a guy, owed one of my homeboys. They my cousins. His name's Dominic. I've talked about him before. Guy comes up to the market. We're sitting there. He says, if this guy gets tough with me, Al, handle him. So the guy kind of gets tough with him. I jumped off the loading dock and just smashed this dude. I mean, smashed him, bang, knock him right out. He's on the floor. There's 20 guys standing there watching. They're all like, damn, hell, you ain't playing. These are the same guys who see me knock out like 10 guys at Wild Woody's, Lipsticks, the Palladium, City Rhythm, all these nightclubs where we all hung out. They don't see me knock out at least 10, 20 guys, probably 20 guys over the years. Just brawling, smashing. Them pulled knives on people, just crazy stuff. These guys are not like gangsters. They sell drugs, and they do numbers, and some of them loan shark, and they had little rackets going here and there all the time. But I was the guy they would all say, Al was a freaking maniac. Wasn't an earner, but a maniac. So it wouldn't have been that hard for Scott or any of these guys to track down a couple of these cousins, just say, was Al around? What was he like? I gave him the name of a cousin where he can find him, a Togo. Gave him the name. Go see him. He remembered, because when I saw him, he's like, dude, you and your uncle were freaking maniacs back in the day. I'm like, I can't even imagine. I'm embarrassed because I'm like, oh, God, the stuff he must know. He's remembering all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, his mother was friends with my mother, and just his daughter was named after my mother. It's crazy. Anyways, he doesn't know any of that, so that's why I'm just like, I'm not even gonna sweat it. I'm gonna invite him on to do a show with me so we can have a counter discussion. You can present your facts and stuff like that. Another thing that he knows for a fact that the dorks who made the video aren't saying and don't know is these people all saw each other as cousins and uncles, nephews, aunts. Scott knows that. He told me. I'm like, and I said, so and so was my uncle, or at least that's what I was told. I don't even know. Before I could even get the rest out of my mouth, he goes, I know, you guys are all cousins. You're all uncle. That's how they did. I said, yeah. So you do know. You are aware or familiar with how it works. All of them came from Terracini, Sicily. Hale originated from a small community of people. They all spoke Sicilian, all went to the same church, all belonged to the same clubs, Knights of Columbus. They everything they did was the same community. And they spoke Sicilian. They were very tight. There was everybody else in that little nucleus of Sicilians back then, and where they originated was the market, like where they all had businesses and stuff like that. My great grandfather, you could look this up. My great grandfather Lito, he had a couple Gumbatis that were heavy hitting wise guys. He started a construction company back in I don't know what it was, 2030s, and he started off with a produce business, literally like a fruit cart. And like 10 years later, he's a millionaire, building houses and apartments. And he helped build that Holy Family Church I was talking about, where everybody was that Scott says is the best mafia book out there, better than his book, the Holy Family Church. You can go right in it right now. I should get the freaking book somewhere around here. And there's my uncle. It says one of the two founding fathers of that church. My grandfather donated hundreds of thousands of dollars. My great grandfather to build it. And all these guys were Gumbatis. Anyways, I'm just saying, all I'm doing is not saying they were anything. I'm just saying I'm giving you a connection. That was my connection. The degree of connection. It wasn't, anything spectacular. I wasn't the godson or the nephew or the boss or nothing like that. I was simply the grandson of a man who was like one of the founding fathers of their community. That's it. And they were friends with him. And when I got older, they said, "You want to make a buck, John Doe? Hit me up." He said, "Gunner, it wasn't with that kicking up stuff. Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I mean a good comment. I didn't like kicking up. I hated kicking up. My uncle would always make my Uncle Pete. If I got a score and he didn't know about it, he'd find out and say, "What? You didn't kick me up." Or if I did something with him that he set up, I always had to kick up, and it was a lot too, like 50%. Stupid, unless it was selling weed, and then I was, whatever.
You want a couple more?
Yes. My wife said, "You want some morel mushrooms, fried morel mushrooms?" Oh my goodness, these things are crack. But I never wanted to kick up. That was one of the main reasons. My Uncle Sal said that to me. He's like, "Alonzo, you don't want to go in that life. You don't want to be part of that thing." He's like, "No, then basically all you are is someone's bitch, and you got to give them part of your money. That's it. It's like you don't want it. And you have the FBI chasing you your whole life. You have a bullseye in your ass. You got to give some old man some of your money, and they will treat you like a bitch because you got to answer when they say jump." I'm like, that's all you had to tell me. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good on that, man. Cool. Where's my boy Ricky, man? Ricky, me and you go freaking around something. We'll go do this, that. I didn't want to kick up, but my Uncle Pete would set up scams and scores. Petty stuff, man. Like we extorted a new pawn shop. It wasn't a pawn shop. It was a electronics store. We shook it down. We set it up, and that was a whole another series of events through one of our mutual friends. Found out this guy was moving stolen goods there, stolen merch there. And once we found out he's selling stolen merch, he's open game for extortion. So we went in there and extorted him, got a piece of it. And he lasted about a year, then he shut down his business. But anyways, it's stuff like that. I didn't want to kick up no freaking money. I didn't feel like I would ever kick no freaking money up. But my uncle would say this: "What's going to happen when you get busted?" Now, here's the thing. Originally, when I got busted at 17 years old for the steroids, which by the way, and I tell this to Scott too in my email, and I got busted selling steroids as part of a big organized crime ring. And literally, it said when I got busted, first of all, there's like 50 guys who were involved in it. There's a federal thing. I did not get indicted by the feds because I was a little pissant 17-year-old kid who just sold like $5,000 with the steroids. These guys are selling baller stuff. So the feds came to me, sat down in my house. I remember the guy, big tall guy with a mustache, kind of reminded me of my parole officer. And he says, "There are 2 L's in the book. Is this one you?" And I said, "I don't know." He starts rattling off names. There's like 15,000, 20,000, 20,000. And then he says, and then there's a smaller one. It's like 500, 200, 500. I'm like, that's me. I said, I was just getting steroids for my buddies that, work out and play football and stuff at high school. That's it. So he said, okay, whatever. We'll maybe in touch, and that was that. Then the state came and arrested me for 2 hand-to-hand deliveries, 5,000 or more. And so I fighted this for 18 months. I fought it. And then my grandfather, according to my Uncle Sal, who I believe more than my Uncle Pete, paid the judge $10,000. He went and sat down. My uncle said, "Grandpa's going to see the judge. He's going to handle it." I said, "What's he going to do?" He looked at me and goes, "He's going to pay him." I'm like, "How much?" He's like, $10,000. He's going to make it so you don't go to prison. Man, I was embarrassed. It was in the news. Literally what it said in the newspaper. If you want to, anybody can go to the Macomb Daily. You can go to the Macomb Daily, or you can go to like the library in Macomb County, but it's from Macomb Daily. I don't know if it's like internet wise, but I know you can go in there and use microfiche and pull up that date. Just put in my name, organized crime, steroids, and it pops up because I went and looked it up years ago. And there it is. And the title says, literally, organized crime, or it says, no, steroid bust leads to organized crime. Gunnar Allen Lindblom was arrested yesterday for 2 deliveries, conspiracy to deliver hand-to-hand, blah, blah, steroids, over 5,000, blah, blah. And my boys had cut it out of the newspaper and pinned it to the wall because they thought it was funny. Now, the way they said it, the way it said that in the paper, it tried to imply that I was a rat, right? Made it look like I was ratting. A steroid bust leads to organized crime. And I'm like, this is all real, Scott. You can look it up. You can. I know Bill Crooks looked it up for his podcast. It's there. There's another degree of connection. Joe DiMaggio was a real guy, the guy I busted from. Joe DiMaggio, he was a big dealer. He's connected on the jewelry shop in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. He's a baller. He knew all the wise guys that are like the age. They'd all be like 60 now. Probably knew Jackie, all of them. Anyways, when I saw that article in the paper, I freak out and I call Joe. I said, Joe, it's Al, and I want to come over and use the tanning bed. He said, yeah, that was our code for coming over to pick up juice and drugs. Again, I got weed from him, got coke from him, but mostly steroids. He had a huge freaking walk-in safe loaded with like 5,000 bottles of steroids. I grab what I want, put it in a bag, and he'd write it in the book, and I'd leave. Then I'd come back a week or two later when I had the cash, give him the cash, grab another bag. And this is how it went on and on for a couple of years, about a year. But I come to his house. I said, Joe, I started to say something. He goes, come out to walk the dogs. He had Rottweilers. He breeded Rottweilers. So I had like 5 of them. So get one of these dogs. And we take the dogs and we start walking down the street. I said, Joe, man, I know what the paper said, but dude, I never gave you up or nothing. He knew right away. Listen, Al, I know that. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it look like you freaking flipped. He's like, they know you came here because you were on surveillance. I said, yeah, exactly. They said because they said they wouldn't. So they followed when I got this guy's $5,000 to go get this juice the 2 times. That's a whole funny story in itself. He was out of good steroids. All he had was this methyl test. And I went and met this rat narc dude. This dude set me up with. And I said, dude, all I can get is methyl test, man. It's like bullshit. It's for power lifters. You don't want it. He said, yeah, dude, I'll take it. I'm like, you sure? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, how much? I'm like, well, let me see. $500 a bottle. And he's like, give me 10 bottles. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was only paying like $120 a bottle or something. I'm like, okay. Gives me the money. I go straight to Maggio's house. Of course, the cops follow me, but I had already been on surveillance there. I've been coming and going for a year. The feds have been watching me. It wasn't a big surprise. So Joe DiMaggio told me, he's like, I know you didn't rat. I know, don't worry about it. I'm like, what's going on? The case, he's like, I'm fighting it. Looks like I'm going to get probation, maybe a little bit of jail time. I'm on a tether right now, blah, blah, blah. Is there anything left? That's what I said. That's what a hustler I was. I'm like, is there anything left? And he kind of smiles. He's like, it's over. But there's a few things like what? He's like, cases of stent, which is a halfway decent steroid. I'm like, who's got it? He's like, your boy Joe Rubino, my boy Joe, and his boy Tony Bomarito. So Joe and Bomarito, he says, had it. I'm like, oh, can I get a couple cases? He's like, yeah, talk to them. I don't care. And that was it. And he ended up fighting the case, and I think he got 9 months in prison, 5 years probation. You can look this whole story up. The whole thing is, look it up. It says this huge organized crime ring. That was, but then they didn't say mafia directly, and I'll tell you why that. Because Jack Tocco was suing mother effers who were implying that people were in the mafia if they weren't. So that the media had to be very careful about what they said regarding the mafia. So what they said is organized crime bust, 52 guys involved, 5 states, 10 countries, or 10 countries, states. Anyways, it was a big deal. Huge thing all over the news. They said he had 5 million doses of steroids, 100 firearms, 10,000 rounds of ammunition. I think it was 2 kilos of cocaine, and on and on and on. All this stuff. So there's, why didn't anyone talk about that? Why didn't Scott mention that? The only reason I got the deal with Joe DiMaggio is because of my Uncle Pete. I went to him in the gym. I knew he was the man. I knew he's the man because my dealer was dealing with him, and he said, my dealer, Jerry Gadet, this big, huge, muscle-bound badass, like one of the baddest dudes I've ever known, one of the very few dudes that I would never want to fight, not then, not now, just a bad mother effer, bro. So 5'7", muscle-bound dude. He could bench like 600 pounds in high school. He was a bad mother effer. I seen him kick a guy off the ground, snap his foot up and kick him like a cartoon, boom. And this is about 5 guys surrounded us. And they're like, what's up? It's like, bam, he was a bad mother effer. This is my steroid dealer. And he tells me Joe is his dealer. But anyways, Jerry he's going to college to play baseball. And he's a pitcher of all things. And so he says, but I'll hook you up with my plug before I go. Well, he never does. He ends up flying out to California where he go. So now I have all these steroid customers who need roids from all these like 5 different high schools in the area. And I know Joe's the plug. I know he's a high roller. He hangs around about freaking the whole crew. It's a crew of like 10 giant big mother effers. Bunch of them are Italian. They're all big, giant Italian mother effers. And they're with him in the gym. They're always laughing, busting balls. They got brand new trucks and cars and boats. He had a boat called Excalibur. I shyly asked him, can I have a word with you? And I was 17 years old, man. No, I think I was 16 years old. I pull him in the bathroom, and I said, can I have a word with you, man? He's like, looks at me. He kind of knew me from the gym. I was the littlest guy in the gym. Literally the littlest guy in the gym. And I said, hey, can I have a word with you, Joe? I weighed like 160 pounds. He goes, what's up, man? And I said, no, kind of private. Can I have a word? So I get him in the bathroom. I said, hey, man, listen, Jerry went away for school. I said, but a lot of the stuff he was getting for me. Now I'm stuck with no plug. And he's like, yeah. Jerry was moving a ton of stuff. So really, I was just a tiny little fragment of what Jerry was moving. But I pretended that I was bigger and I needed more. He says, well, what are you moving? I'm like, yeah, some of them Cestonons, some of that Winstraw, basically anything. He says, well, he writes my number down. He says, give me a call. Ask to use the tanning bed. Come over to the house. We'll see what we can do. Well, that was after I said, the first thing I said is, I think you know my Uncle Pete. And he's like, I said, Uncle Pete Tocco. He's like, Pete? I said, Peter Paul Tocco Jr. You said, Pete, another Pete? I said, no. His brother named Sal. He says, oh, he's got a couple of sisters, right? Like 3 sisters. I said, yeah, my mom's one of them. He's like, oh, yeah, I know Pete. Yeah, I know Pete. Because his jewelry shop was in Grosse Pointe. And my grandpa and everybody grew up in Grosse Pointe. He said, yeah, I know Pete. And I said, yeah, well, so just opening the door through my Uncle Pete's name, he said, yeah, you can come meet me or whatever. And we started selling steroids and I ended up getting busted because I was a dummy. I didn't know the game. I didn't know that somebody introduces you to a guy that's a rat. He's a narc. I didn't know. The guy brought me a guy. He said he wants freaking $5,000 worth of steroids and I can make like $3,000 on it. I'm like, this is awesome. Well, he was a rat. And I ended up getting caught. It's all out there. But the other thing is, and I'll end it on this. When I got out of jail, and like I said, my grandfather allegedly says my Uncle Sal paid the judge to not put me in prison, and I ended up getting 6 months work release, but kicked out of work release, and I ended up in jail for 3 months. When I got out, I was living with my grandparents, and that is when I went to my cousin Nina's party. I've said this a million times. My cousin Nina Mizaraka's party, graduation party, and Tony Giacalone and my cousin Tony, I'm not going to say his last name, were there at a table with my grandpa. And my grandpa said, hey, Tony, talking to Tony Giacalone, can you get Alonzo some work? He just got out. Just got out of jail. Maybe you can find him some work. And he said, yeah, sure, Pete. I'll see what I can do, Pete. Now, my grandma said, no, you don't have to work. He's going to be going to college this fall. You don't have to. My grandpa said, yeah, he needs to work, though. He still needs to work. And so my grandma says, no, we're done talking about it. Slams her hand down. After when we went home, I said, Grandpa, why doesn't Grandma want me to work with Tony and Tonya? She's like, she thinks she'll get in trouble. I'm like, trouble for what? And he goes, it's Tony. And I go, okay. So they're up to something where the shop is on 8 Mile. That was that. A few days later, I get a call. It says, call your aunt. It's Tony Giacalone. Call your aunt. Some kids are picking on your nephew. Go there and handle that. So I did. Punked out these kids in the neighborhood. A few days later, a month later, 2 weeks, whatever it was, is the dude, the girl, the ex shows up, slaps her around. He called me. Can you handle that? Yeah, I go handle it. Then it's like, hey, go see Ella at Brownies. And they need security. I'm going to work the security. Boom, get a job bouncing. That was great. That was awesome. Then one day, listen, he's at our house. I go over to the house, and he says, Lonzo, you want to make a buck? I said, I've always wanted to make a buck. What's up? He's like, I need someone to work security at this poker game. Pays $100. Be there for a few hours. I'm like, all right, $100 for a few hours. That's easy money. I ended up being there 8 hours. I hated it. It was miserable. Sitting in a chair by the door while all these freaking high rollers bet all night. Talk trash, drink, do coke, strippers around. And I sit by the door like ready to fall asleep all night long till like 6 in the freaking morning. Was not a good time. Anyways, that's it. Basically the highlights of my mafia career. That's it. And I was around some other guys and did some other stuff, but really nothing major more than that. And that's the funny part. What was someone saying here? Dennis Jansen signing on from. Oh, there's Dennis Jansen right there. It's my boy. Yeah, it's my economist. That guy's a gangster. He's a true. He believes in what he's saying. He sold all his house, bought gold, and moved to Mexico. He thinks it's going to collapse. Gunnar kicks up to his wife now. She gets 100% of his end, and he gets pocket money. True. I don't even pay attention to my. What's up, Bill from Partners in Crime podcast is here. Love this guy like a brother. I'm like Bill. Bill's the same way. I don't even know how much money I make. I don't know where it goes. She handles all the money and pays all the bills and does everything with money. I mean, if I have something to say, like, I think she spends too much. I think she spends too much on stuff we don't need. But that's a woman. How are you going to control that? And, you know, she has a good job. She has the right to make money. Here is a freaking morel mushroom. Look at this thing. These are so good. Mm, mm, mm. You don't know. If you never had these morel mushrooms, fried morel mushrooms, you just don't know. So good. So, anyways, I like Ultra Testosterone says, F. Got Bernstein. Gunnar Scott. Squatter is greater than Scott. Thank you, Bo. Nice of you to say that. Let me see what Green says. Scott's a rat. Just him, get him for the disrespect. I don't. I'm not gonna go back to prison for someone like that or something like that. But I think about it. I think about eating a case, an assault case. Yeah, you got to have money for lawyers and bonds. I think I could cover that. Then you got to go probation a year. The key is not hurting them too bad. So it's very hard to not hurt a guy bad. He's older. He's weak. Anyways, I don't even want to do that to him. He's just a pussy for what he did. I don't even care. His life is his life, mine is mine. We'll see where karma takes us both. We'll see. Mark my word, 10 years. Let's see who's where. But I'd like to have him on my show just to give my side of the story and counter all these points and research that he made. He didn't give me a chance to even counter nothing. And you still got these dweebs making videos and saying, I said this, I said that. They're goofy. What? Partners in Crime says, thanks, Dan. He put up his thing. Thank you, Dan. What does John Doe say? That Fed probably 80 years old. Yes, John Doe, in my opinion, is one of the smartest freaking guys who's on here. He remembers everything that I say, every story, every detail, and he's smart. And it's not just that he's repeating it like Rain Man. He's using deductive reasoning and critical thinking to look at the stories that I said objectively and compare them with the history or the research. So he knows facts. Scott's Fed is like 80 years old, and for 20 years, this Fed literally followed the same probably 5 guys, 10 at the most. But if you start asking them, like, who are the 10 guys in each guy's crew? This guy was there for a while. I know this guy did that. But then it starts to go downhill. You don't know who's this guy and that guy. Well, what do they do? How do they make money? Who is the muscle? Who is the muscle for my generation? You can't run a mafia family without some heavy hitters. You can't have a mafia family without someone walking up and saying, man, you got to pay your debt, man. Smash. You got to pay. Who was it? Scott? Who was it? Tony the Puma, the animal Puma? The Puma? That dude was like 60 years old. No. There were guys. There were some tough guys. I know he knows Frank Witcher. My friend, Frank Witcher, was one of them for Tony Zarelli. And I introduced Scott to Frank Witcher the day I met Scott for the first time at a radio station. I told Scott, meet me there. I walked in and I go, this is my friend Frank. And he goes, yeah, I know Frank. And I later privately go, how do you know Frank? He goes, oh, he was one of the 11 indicted in the RICO with Jack Tocco in 96. There were 11 big shots. 10 big shots were indicted in 96 for the RICO. And the 11th man was my friend Frank. That's not a connection. I introduced him to that. And then I said to him, I'm like, dude, you must know Mike Brancato then. He said, who? Scott said. He said, who? I'm like, you don't know Mike, you know Frank, but you don't know Mike Brancato. He said, no, never heard him. Mike Brancato was the one who introduced Frank to Tony Zarelli. Mike Brancato. I don't know what level of hustler Mike Brancato was, but he was the one connected to the mob. Frank Witcher is not even Italian. He was just a stooge. Who was just a stooge that Tony Zarelli used as a tool. Same way they used me, they used him. Go intimidate a guy. Slap him around. Make him pay. Frank was like, oh my God, the mob wants me. They wanted me to do it. So he did it. Well, he got overzealous. They told him not to hurt him. He went in there. He said, just scare him. But he went in there and beat the shit out of some old man, some old Chaldean, and said, you got to pay by the way. Well, the man pressed the charges. And the feds grabbed him up, and they all got busted for RICO. He's a freaking stooge. He went to prison for 4 years. Again, it's another degree of connection that Scott forgot to mention. I'm just saying. What's up, Bigfoot? Batu Lapara. That's right. That's what Tony Jack called me. Batu Lapara. Crazy gunner. But he also called me the Bloodhound. That was another name. He didn't call me. He just said, I found a guy that nobody could find. I found him in like a day. And when I found him and gave him the money that I had to find, he says, you're like a GD Bloodhound. Like, he said, Alonzo, you're like a GD. I don't like saying the word GD. He's like, you're like a GD Bloodhound. How the frick you find this guy so fast? And I told him the trick, how I did it. He was laughing. He was impressed. And Patu Laparo, which is crazy gunner. Dude, again, I was the guy knocking mother effers out left and right, man. Left and right. Guys from my generation knew. The older generation, they weren't in the nightclubs. They weren't hanging out in the market. They weren't hanging out in the track, really. Sometimes they might swing by. But they weren't. They had their own little headquarters and their own little spots and their own little poker games and their own little bit. They weren't in the streets like we were kids. You know what I'm saying? I was nobody. I was just a kid hustling. But go down to the market. My cousin or my uncle had my grandpa's business at this point, and all my cousins worked there. So I go down there, hang out, play penny poker, roll dice, hang out. There's always some kind of racket coming and going. Maybe I can make a buck, you know, and there always was. Somebody wanted me to run, get money from this guy or collect from that guy. It wasn't every day, but I might go down there once or twice a week and say, what's up, guys? And someone might say, listen, man, I need a hand with something, man. This guy's giving me a hard time. What's in it for me? Wasn't always some high-level guy like Tony Jack, you know. I didn't even know Tony Jack was a high-level guy. Didn't even know. I just knew he was my grandpa's Gumbadi, an old man. That's it. I never knew he was the street boss. Like these guys like Scott and Revere. He was the street boss, the legend of legends, one of the biggest, greatest mafias ever. No, he's just a freaking old man to me, man. My grandpa's buddy. He'd come over, they'd talk, they'd have coffee, and he'd go. So, I mean, I didn't know. And if you asked me to make a buck, they help me make a buck, I'd make a buck. That was that. Anyways, get ready to go. What you doing streaming, bro? There's fishes to catch. Totally, man. That's why I got to get back to work on my book. I'm like about 60% done with the editing, and I got to finish, man. I got to finish. And I'm getting there. I went fishing the past week in Quabbin Reservoir, Boston's drinking water, and reeled in a 9-pound lake trout. Wow. That's cool. Did you eat it? Lake trout are good eating. Lake trout are good eat. I love the catch. And I've caught some lake trout a few years ago. A guy here where I live, I talked to him. I kind of talked him into taking me out. And he took me out, and I caught 11 fish. There was a steelhead, a salmon, and a 9 rainbow. Oh my God. And there's this old man, I think his name was Herbie, who was with us. And he had this smoked lake trout that was so good. It was literally the best fish I'd ever eaten of any kind. He had some crackers. Here, try this. And I'm like, holy crap, this is delicious. You made this? He's like, yeah. I said, bro, will you make my lake trout into that? He says, yeah, I charge half. I charge half your take. So if you end up with 10 pounds of lake trout, I'll take half. They filleted them for me and everything. So I said, great. I said, they filleted all my fish, and all I had to do was reel them in, basically. And the next day, I got a call, and they said, your smoked trout is done. I'm like, that was quick. I went and picked up this big bag, and it was cracked. Couldn't stop eating it. Ate it all in like 3 days. It was so good. Smoked lake trout is crack. If it's done right, got to be done right. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. God bless. If you didn't hear Larry's picks, make sure you go back and listen to his picks. He's got some great picks every week. Write them down, take some notes, and you can win. You can win. Like I said, if you're into legal gambling and you want an advantage, that's what he does. He gives you the value and the advantage that will help you win. Ultimately, I think what Larry's going to do is kind of have a regular daily approach for value, and he'll be able to teach you. He'll give you like a mock book and how much money you working with. Okay, you got $500 to work with. This is what you should do today with that $500. This is going to say, spread it out this way based on the odds and everything, and then boom, suddenly the next day you'll probably had $600, or whatever it is. You could have more.
And you might, and once in a while, it'll go down. You know, it might go down, 450, but then the next day it jumps up to 700. It always goes up, always going up. So if you just start a $500 purse and listen to Larry, all you got to do is listen to Larry. That's it. Do exactly what he tells you to do, the way he does it, and boom, it's better than cryptos. It's better than the stock market. Better than anything. You're going to win. Probably an average of, I'd say, an average of between 58 and 65%, leaning towards 65. That's amazing. I mean, you can win. That's why I do it. That's what I'm saying. I don't encourage anybody to just go gamble, to waste your time gambling. But if you're playing the sports betting for fun and entertainment, and you want to win, this is how you do it. You get an advantage. It's scientific. It's like counting cards. You give an advantage. Now you have a chance to win every week, every game. So if you go every day, follow his lead, start with $500. By the end of the year, you might have $15,000. That's a lot of money to make in a year. From 500 to 15,000. Done. Anyways, God bless everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week. I got a couple good guests coming up. Good night, buddy. Grinch. He said he saw a bald eagle. That's cool. I've been seeing them too. God bless, Dan. Thanks for moderating and always putting up all our stuff. Appreciate it. My books, To Be a King, Volume 1 and 2. Make sure to check them out. If you haven't seen my book, and if you haven't read the review, take 1 second, read the reviews, go there and spend 5 minutes reading them. They're all real. I don't know who all these people are. Just listen to what they're saying. If you love a good mafia story, then you'll love the book. I'm just saying. God bless. I'm out. Somehow, I'll be out of here. And out.